He believed his secret would remain buried forever. Clad in his sharpest suit, with a woman on his arm who wasn't his wife, Adrien Cortez strutted into the glowing lobby of the city's most renowned 5-star hotel. The marble floor shimmered in the morning light. Chandeliers glistened like scattered diamonds, and every corner whispered luxury. For years, he had thrived in wealth and influence, convinced that charm, money, and authority would shield him from consequences. But on that morning, as he extended his platinum card toward the receptionist, time seemed to freeze. Across the hall, walking with an elegance that commanded attention, stood the last person he ever expected to see. His wife, Celeste. Only, she was no longer the abandoned, grieving partner he had left behind. She was now the rightful owner of the empire Adrien once believed belonged solely to him. In that instant, his carefully crafted illusion crumbled like shattered glass. Before diving deeper, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more soul-stirring stories to life. The story of Adrien and Celeste began long before that fateful day in the lobby. Adrien had once been the kind of man every woman dreamed of. Ambitious, protective, and endlessly devoted. Celeste, graceful in her quiet resilience, had stood by him when all he possessed were big dreams and empty pockets. Together, they built not just a company but also a life that seemed unbreakable. Yet, with success came Adrien's insatiable thirst for more. Late nights bled into secret rendezvous. Whispered calls grew frequent, and Celeste could feel the shift in his touch. The warmth she once cherished turned into cold detachment. Soon enough, Adrien slipped into the embrace of another. Serena, a dazzling young socialite who adored the rush of his wealth, but cared nothing for the legacy he and Celeste had forged. Celeste noticed everything. The missed anniversaries, lipstick stains on his collars, hotel invoices that never quite made sense. She knew the truth, and though her heart ached, she carried the burden in silence. To the outside world, she was the flawless wife of a successful man. Behind the smile, she was breaking apart. But what Adrien never realized was that Celeste was far stronger than he ever imagined. Instead of drowning in despair, she channeled her pain into something new. An investment she nurtured in secret, fueled by her intellect and steady resolve. With every wound he inflicted, she stitched together her future, one that would change everything. The day Adrien walked into that hotel with Serena, he thought it would be another carefree indulgence. The lobby smelled of roses, the staff bowed respectfully, and Serena clung to him like a prized jewel. He smirked, drunk on his illusion of control. But when Celeste appeared in a cream-colored suit radiating authority, her steady gaze piercing through him, his confidence dissolved. She wasn't there as a wronged wife seeking answers. She stood as the woman who now held the keys to everything he thought he ruled. Adrien's hand trembled as he handed over his card, the receptionist glancing nervously between him and Celeste. Serena, oblivious at first, whispered playfully against his ear until she felt the sharp tension in the air. Staff began murmuring. Guests stole curious glances. And then, with one deliberate step, Celeste advanced. The echo of her heels on the marble floor rumbled like thunder. She hadn't come to lash out or humiliate him. She came to embody the truth. She no longer lived in his shadow. The silence in that hall carried every unspoken betrayal. Adrien looked into Celeste's eyes and saw the reflection of his own deceit. The broken promises, the selfish choices, the lies. He longed to speak, to explain, but no words surfaced. Serena shifted uneasily, sensing she stood beside a woman whose dignity eclipsed beauty, youth, and wealth combined. Celeste didn't need to speak. Her presence said it all. She was no longer the wife clinging for scraps of love. She was the leader, the survivor, the woman who had risen from betrayal into triumph. For Adrien, it was like gazing into a mirror of regret. The glittering world he once flaunted now felt hollow. The woman he dismissed as fragile now appeared untouchable. Not out of vengeance, but out of victory. And the mistress he thought completed him suddenly seemed nothing more than a fleeting distraction, paling against the depth and grace of Celeste. The realization struck like a tidal wave he had traded gold for glitter, depth for shadows, love for lust. But this story isn't just about Adrien's downfall. Celeste, despite her scars, never allowed hatred to consume her. She could have exposed him, shamed him before everyone, but she chose silence. Because sometimes silence is the loudest truth. Turning her gaze away wasn't weakness. It was freedom. She no longer orbited his choices. She had forged her own path. The staff looked at her with reverence. Serena with envy. Adrien with a grief no words could capture. In the days that followed, Adrien wandered the emptiness of his world, haunted by memories he once took for granted. The mornings when Celeste brewed his coffee, the nights she stayed awake believing in his dreams. Too late, he realized that success meant nothing without the unwavering love of the one who stood beside you when you had nothing. Celeste had been that person, and he had lost her, not because she was lacking, but because he failed to see she was everything. Celeste, meanwhile, thrived. She transformed the hotel into more than a symbol of wealth. Under her guidance, it became a beacon of resilience, a sanctuary for new beginnings, a tribute to second chances. Guests whispered about the woman who once was broken, yet emerged stronger than ever. She didn't just own the hotel. She embodied it grand, graceful, unshakable. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your engagement helps us continue sharing stories of hope, healing, and the quiet power of kindness. And now, we'd love to hear from you. What lesson do you take from Celeste's journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words may inspire someone who needs them today. Because at its core, the story of Adrien and Celeste is not just one of betrayal. It's one of transformation. It's about choosing dignity over revenge, discovering strength in the ruins of heartbreak, and realizing the greatest victory is rising above. And as Celeste stood in the golden sunlight pouring through the hotel's windows, the world no longer saw a wife left behind. They saw a woman reborn.